Hello, this is a tutorial on how to create a graphic image from a photograph. Today I'll be going to the internet and selecting a victim of a graduation, uh, a graduate who's holding a diploma, and I'm going to right-click and copy this image and then go to Photoshop and say File, New, and I can call this Graduate. The software is smart enough to already know what the size of the image in the clipboard is, and so it creates a new document the same size. Now on the PC I'll say Control, and on the Mac I'll say Apple Command. So Control Paste or Apple Command Paste with a V, and here is our image. Notice it places it over the background. It always creates a new layer, and we want to create a new layer ourselves to begin drawing over this image and creating a generic graduate. So I'll click the New Layer button down the layer panel. It's the one that looks like a little square with a corner turned. And you'll notice that it's there. I'm going to go ahead and type in the name as I go. Diploma. And that way it's ready to go. I'm going to select it, and I'll be able to see the diploma underneath. The best tool for this is going to be the polygonal lasso tool, and I want to choose a picture color for this graduation diploma, and let's say I'll make it a little brighter and lighter, and I'll get my polygonal lasso. I'll click, and you'll notice it has a little tail, and this is perfect for straight objects. When you get to the beginning, you'll see the little circle for the origin point. Click on that. You'll see the marquee. Then I'll say Edit, Fill. I usually have to change it from Content Aware to the foreground color, but then I can just click OK, and it fills it. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the robe. So I'll click back on my original layer, because the new layer I create will be right above it, and I will call that robe. And for this one, instead of using the polygonal, I'll use the magnetic lasso, and I will actually highlight the girl so that it can see her shape. And I'm just going to make a big circle around, as I'll put the skin on over this top layer, and I'll click, and I need to select a nice gray, dark gray. Making sure I'm on the robe, I'll say Edit, Fill, and it will fill it. I'm going to hide it so I can see the skin tones. I'm going to add a new layer, and this one will be skin. And rather than using one of these others, I'll just use a regular lasso, which I was able to just click to deselect. And I'm just going to freehand this down to the neckline. There's her face. I can always add to this selection by holding down the Shift key. You'll notice it gets a little plus sign, and that can be helpful. I can even add the fingers down here. And I'm going to select using this little eyedropper tool. Now this may be the perfect color, or I can choose a little slightly different color, maybe something more generic in terms of what race is this person going to be, and I will just say Edit, Fill. There she is, starting to look pretty good. You can see the robe underneath. You can see it clearly. She needs some hair. So I'm going to go underneath the skin, add a new layer, double click, and rename it Hair. then I can choose different ones. I'll think it's probably easiest to do the lasso. And I'm just going to go ahead and select the hair. Now, since it goes on both sides, it probably would be best to also make the hair kind of come over both like that. I can choose a hair color with the eyedropper, or I can give her any hair color I wish. Kind of make it maybe a light brown, lighter brown. There we go, a little bit of red in there. Edit fill. Control D or Apple Command D to deselect. And all I really have is the mortar. I'll call that hat just because it's easier. So I click a new layer. I'll call it hat. And you can use some of the selection tools. You can try the quick select tool. Now, we don't want to do that on the hat layer. There's nothing there. So I have to go down, click on the actual photograph, and try to get it to pick up the hat. Now, you might have varying degrees of success there. You could also try the magnetic wand, which works perfect for things that are mostly one color. In this case, the hat's pretty mostly gray, dark gray. So that would work as well. I'm going to go ahead and add this area where the tassel is by holding Shift. And then just adding that. And I can pick up my gray tone from down below. Show the gray. Make sure I go back to the hat. So the hardest thing you do is remember which layer you're on. And I'll go ahead and fill. And then the last thing I want is the little tassel. So I'll create a little area there. And decide which might be best. Straight lines are perfect for the polygonal tool. And I just click like I'm drawing a straight line. And I'll say Edit, Fill. Whoops, I made it a dark color. Let's try a golden color. Edit, Fill. Okay, turn off the picture. And you can see we've done a pretty good job, but there's some problems. The hair is not perfect. So I'll select the hair color. Now because this tassel selected, it won't let me do anything except inside that selection. So I'm going to hit Control D or Apple Command D to deselect. Get my brush. I want to have a nice size, not too large of the brush. And then the hardness, I like it a hard edge when I'm correcting something like this. So I'm going to go on the hair section and just fix that little part there. I can smooth out any of this I would like. There's a little bit of a lag time. Oh, it's on the skin layer. So I couldn't paint over it. It's actually part of the skin. So I'm going to just go ahead and clear up this face a little bit. I can make the angle a little bit nicer to make the face. And that might be prettier that way. Okay, so I could always keep working on that to make it improved. If I wanted it to be transparent, I could take it off the background and save it. I always save things in two ways. I save as, and I get the Photoshop, and I'll go ahead and replace this one and click Save for Graduate. It'll ask if I want it to be compatible. I always like that. And then I like to have my layers, so that's what the Photoshop format does. It keeps my layers available. But then when I turn something in, sometimes I will ask you to turn it in as a JPEG. And you can always save things as a JPEG as well. Notice that the layers will go away. The alpha channels will go away. And then these other things will not be there. So that's a choice you make. I'm going to go ahead and click Save to replace this and say OK. And that's how you can take a photograph and turn it into a graphic image.